Welcome back. In the vise, I have a 1/8 ounce ball jig on a 2X heavy hook. We're going to be tying a fairly simple coho jig today. I'm going to be using Veevus 140 for my thread. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is on a 2X heavy hook. I like my salmon steelhead stuff to be on 2X heavy hooks. You can definitely go heavier if you live with giants, but I think typically these 2X hooks are pretty stout. You can land some pretty big fish on these. For the tail, I'm using a Polliwog tail from Spawn Polliwog. These tails are really nice. They got good movement, and they're pretty versatile. You can use them down on a hook down to about a 10, all the way up to about a 1, depending on what you're tying. You know, you can also use rabbit strips for this. You can use marabou, just whatever your preference. I just like the movement of these Polliwog tails, especially on these smaller jigs. So I'm going to be wrapping some loose wraps up forward. I want some of this pink from my thread to peek out occasionally. I'm not really too concerned when it does. I just like to bring a little bit of pink in. And we're going to wrap this, start tightening up your wraps as we get closer to the jig head. That's just going to give our brush, we're going to wrap back on that material. It's just going to give that brush something to grab onto, and it'll help secure it a little bit better. So wrap back a little ways. We're going to flip it over, and I'm going to put on 2 rubber legs of your choice. If you make a V, and we'll fold it back over itself, and those legs aren't going anywhere. And you can trim this however long you want. You just notice that you want to put too much tension when you're cutting your rubber legs. You're also going to end up shorter. So keep them a little bit of slack, and I'm going to want mine to be about right there. My scissors are getting old. Might be time to upgrade. Alright, so get those out of the way. And now I have a 2-inch foxy brush that I just hit with some purple sharpie just to give it a little bit of definition, but that's not necessary. I just like the way it looks. I've been really hitting a lot of my stuff with sharpies recently. It's just a fun way to customize your own stuff. And as you can see, I broke my thread off. If you don't touch your thread, typically it's just going to stick there and your materials aren't going to move. It moves when you start touching your thread. So just wrap it over. Right now I'm just concerned about grabbing the threads. I'm not putting much thread tension on it right now. And now that I've got it all kind of contained, I'm going to come back and really lock that down. Really focus on wrapping back where I know the brush end isn't there. Then do some loose wraps over the end, and then lock it in place. And now we're just going to wrap this brush forward. These brushes are a little expensive, but with good management of this material, you can get about 30 to 40 jigs per package. So it's actually not a bad deal in the long run if you use your materials wisely. So we're just going to wrap that forward, and we're going to stop about right there. Really get that locked in place. Wrap back over itself. I pretty much always use crappy scissors for stuff like this instead of having to grab a pair of side cutters to cut the wire brush. I think it's just a little bit simpler that way. Do whatever you want to whip finish, and we'll add some glue and we'll be done. Actually, we are going to brush out a little bit. You can wrap the brush, you know, a quarter wraps at a turn. Wrap these brushes a quarter wrap at a time. And that gets the brush to lay down a little bit easier. I still find that you have to brush out the brush even when you're doing a quarter turn at a time. So I typically just do it all at the end like this, especially for these smaller ones. It doesn't take much time. So there it is. Super simple coho twitch jig. A lot of movement, a lot of great profile in this. Give it a try, and I will see you next time. Thank you.